Let's get more now with Xu Qinduo. He's a political analyst and he joins us now from Beijing. Really good to have you with us, Xu. As our correspondent just said there, he believes that Antony Blinken and President Xi Jinping are currently meeting as we speak. Do you see this as a positive development in the US-China relationship, the fact that the president is meeting Antony Blinken?
Yes, it's a good question. I do think so, because at the very beginning of the visit of Blinken, there was a lot of guesses and calculation, whether President Xi Jinping was going to meet Blinken. If you look at the practice, for example, over the past decades, usually when there is a visit by the U.S. Secretary of State, the Chinese president would meet him or her, for that matter. But because of the tension in the bilateral relationship, because of the confrontational nature of this relationship right now, so many people were not that let's say optimistic. There's a lot of pessimism and low expectation. So there's a lot of talk, whether Xi Jinping is going to meet Blinken, and now they are having this meeting as we speak. So I think most people would say this is a positive sign that the Chinese side and the U.S. side seems there's a real intent, to sit down and talk about their problems. Hopefully, they can make enough efforts to stabilize this relationship, if not improve upon what we have now.
Earlier, the Chinese Foreign Minister Qin Gang told Blinken that the Taiwan issue is the most prominent risk to Sino-US relations. And obviously, Washington is one of probably the strongest ally of Taipei's. Explain to us what China wants the US to do with regards to Taiwan.
I think, if you look at the China-US relationship for the Chinese side, the number one issue right now, probably we can say, is Taiwan issue, because this is about sovereignty and territorial integrity. And such an issue is critically important, not only in the common sense, like, territorial integrity is important to every country, and so is China. But for China, it's more than that. If you remember this 100 years of humiliation. So for the Chinese people, the final reunification or unification with Taiwan or between Taiwan and the mainland is the dream of the Chinese people. They would say this is the true moment that China has stood up in the world stage and has become an independent nation without foreign interference. We know that the Taiwan question is a leftover of the Civil War, which ended in 1949 when the People's Republic of China was founded at that time. And of course, Taiwan has become a question, mostly because of the U.S. support to the Taiwan government. Sometimes the Taiwan independent-minded, politicians or separatists in the island. That is a problem. If you look at the international community, basically every country has been following this one China principle, in which Taiwan is part of China, and the U.S. does too. But the problem is, in recent years, the U.S. has sometimes, seem to have abandoned the so-called strategic vague, their practice. Basically, they agree, Taiwan is part of China, but then at the same time they say, oh, we maintain a strong relationship with Taiwan. I can say, basically the U.S. is the only country which has a problem with this one China practice here. And because of the U.S. incremental support of the Taiwan separatists, for example, selling weapons to Taiwan, sending high level U.S. officials to visit Taiwan. This is against the U.S. commitment when China and the U.S. reached or forged this diplomatic relationship, in which the U.S. promised not to develop official relationship with Taiwan, for example, and they would gradually reduce their arms sale to Taiwan until zero. But now we are seeing the U.S. increasing its arms sale to Taiwan. Of course, China is very much concerned.
Okay, Xu Qinduo, we'll have to leave it there, but thanks so much for sharing your thoughts with us on TRT World.
Thank you for having me.